Hello and welcome back. Sean here, Mountains Garage. On a Thursday afternoon, the end of October 2025, the weather just took a turn. Supposed to get some rain tonight and right back to sunshine tomorrow. It's been a fantastic week, and I spent most of it outside preparing the yard for winter. It's taken a lot longer than normal because of the excavation project. I had to displace everything that kind of has a home to do the excavation and reorganization. And now I got to put it back because at any point, after Saturday is November, all of a sudden, holy smokes, it could snow any day. It snowed in October before, but I hope it doesn't snow like last year till after the first of the year, but who knows until spring what's going to happen. So I've been putting it back together and, preparing. It's going to be a much easier year for plowing once I finish the reorganization outside, because I'll have a straight push and finally can reach the hill that's behind me, so I can just push snow down over the bank. Because when I start piling it, my tractor with the 9.5-foot Fisher stainless V on the loader arms, I can probably push 10 or 15 feet high. I've really never measured it, but it's pretty high. But you keep coming back toward the garage as you stack, and depending on the severity of the winter, sometimes it's a really big pile. And then the more I can push down over the bank, the better off I'm going to be in the spring. Well, it just started raining, so I guess my outdoor activities are going to halt for the day. When I put this tractor hut here, I actually had to cut a spot in the woods. Now, it's all opened up around it, and its new home is going to be next to the boat hut, right there. I've spent the first part of this week clearing out that spot and moving stuff everywhere. And my plan to move this thing is I've got it screwed to 4x6s going this way. I'm going to take this main hoop roll cage from that Camaro and a couple pieces of the flat straight stuff, and I'm going to make a rig to bolt between the center with the hoop in the middle there, put the forks on the tractor, turn around and go in and pick it up on the middle. And then I'll be able to hopefully have somebody balance it and direct me, because I'll be blind, back up and drive it over there and screw it back down to the earth. I did paint one of the rolling cots and put it outside to live for a while. And got some regret with that story. We'll hit that when we go back in the shop. My beautiful 80 Camaro found a new home sitting on the frame table. I keep joking with my buddy Charlie that I'm gonna build it and do land speed racing with it. But it's a very minimal investment to have it sit here and do nothing. I like to look at it. Dreams aren't free, but they're inexpensive until you start fulfilling them. But it's a really nice 80 Camaro body. And there it is. I put a lot of the rolling projects up behind the Suburban. I'll get you a better view, but I had to fill in around this piece of ledge here a little more so I can drive around it more. As I kept piling stuff around it, I still wanted to be able to drive around the circle as long as I don't park a truck and trailer right there, but that's temporary. I had to dedicate some space up in the corner to that pile of wood that still needs to go, and pallets full of stuff that was in the woods. At least it's on pallets and I can move it, but I got to pick through all that stuff. I made room to park 4 trailers here. Probably the dump trailer as well will park over here, probably right there. And still have room to push snow past them into these openings right here, where I can shove snow over the hill. When I had the boxes delivered about a month ago, the storage containers, they were touching the bank that's now way back there. I could have gone further, but had to stop until I was at my neighbor's house. I wanted to leave a buffer, you know. But now I stuck my 49 behind the box, and I can get behind the box to do whatever I need to do to it. Got a whole row of junk here, and lots of junk over here. I got some snowplow frames I gotta sell. Some stuff is good, some stuff is junk. Well, good enough to hang on to, but it's almost time to say goodbye. I bought a 4-pack of these solar LED lights. This is the only one I've installed up until today. I put it up about a week ago. I wanted to see if they were any good. And in this particular location, if the sun was out, it would still be in the shade. I have it set for the maximum on time of 5 hours. It comes on at dusk. And it does just fine. It goes to like half brightness, if you will, until you walk up to it and it goes full bright. It can also be motion detected, but it only stays on for a few seconds and shuts back off, which I found really annoying. I'll just let it go for 5 hours and shut off. I'd let it go longer if it could, but 5 hours after dusk, most of the time, should be adequate. And also each one, I bought a 4-pack. Came with a remote I can keep in the tractor, so if I'm out doing night operations and want more light, I can just use my remote to turn them on. It's only rained twice since we unearthed, I can't speak now, all this ledge, but it's cleaning off nicely. Eventually it'll be bare rock. This became a nice spot for my attachments. There's no good place to put stuff. My forks live right here. But they have to go somewhere accessible, and here I can plow past them so I can always get to them. And it should be okay. This is where I take a break. Last night I sat here till almost dark and had 3 visitors that I will include a little footage of at the end of this video. So I'm excited for darkness tonight, so I can try this light placement. Not sure I love it. And I put one on each side of the boat hut, if you can see them. They kind of blend in, but I screwed them through the sheathing there in a non-critical spot. And they're all ready to light up. So I'm down here quite a bit at night. And again, the boat hut's gonna be on this side, so it'll provide a little light when I walk down in the middle of the night to get in the tractor. I've relocated my friend here, Dave Jr., and it's always had its own battery that's always dead. So I have a quick connect that I need to put on the battery. I've had it for a year. Got it from my friend Dave, who this is named after. And I need to put the quick connect on it so I can just plug in the same battery that powers my winch and will power the engine test run stand. But this is handy. You back up to it and unload stuff out of your truck. I don't move it. I back up to it. As promised, I painted one of the carts that I bought last week so it can live outside and not just turn to rust, because it's brand new metal. So it's worth what should be just a few dollars of spray paint. Well, that kind of went upside down. I was out of the small cans of flat black, or any color, but I typically have lots of flat black in stock. And then I got this genius idea. It's getting late afternoon. I don't want to be out there all day. All these benches I painted with a small spray can, and these all took 2 or 3 cans apiece. And your finger gets tired after a while. It's a lot of on and off. So I had bought this case, 6 cans of the Rustoleum Turbo can. Never had one before, never used it. I was inspired, if you look at the Race 55 up on the lift, the passenger door, that's just some flat black Rustoleum out of a regular can. And it looks pretty damn nice. Even from here. No, it looks good up close too. So I was inspired, hey, I'll get some of these. I hear you can paint a whole car. 6 of them ought to be enough. Look at how big the can is. Well, painting angle iron, etc. is not a good use of these because it has a 10-inch spray pattern, but I would turn it to try to maximize it. I didn't care if it even had runs. Try not to waste the product. I had pushed it outside. I should have gone all the way to the rock and dirt, but I decided on the driveway, I painted all these benches in the driveway with just some cardboard down. So I flipped it upside down, or on its side, like technically, put the cardboard around any critical areas, and proceeded to paint my driveway. Good thing it's black. Now, when the driveway was new, I painted my orange trailer and the siding on this garage and other stuff that was pretty good stuff. That lasted about 15 years. And I may never hear the end of it, but that's when she used to come down here more often. My wife, fortunately now she doesn't ask a lot of questions if she can't see it out the window. So it took 3 cans. These things disappear so fast, and I was trying to be really conservative with it and not just blow it all in the air. But because of the way they put out the paint, that's why they had to make them this big. I thought due to its size, it would last a long time. Nope, it lasts probably half what a regular can does. And I can see where you can cover some ground. It's made for big flat things. So this was not a good use of it. I understand that. But the positive side is the reason why I chose this, I wanted to be fast. It was outside and windy. I didn't want to be out there all day. It was getting kind of chilly. And it accomplished the speed. The quality is okay. What I found interesting is you should wear a mask doing all painting, of course, but you know, I'm outside. I figure it's all set. When I painted each of these benches, I'd go in the house and blow my nose and I'd have green paint or whatever color I painted the bench. I blew 3 of these babies into the air, and when I come inside and wipe my face, no paint, nothing in my nose. So I got to give it credit there. I must blow it at set speed away from you that I wasn't affected, and I could stand back a little bit, I guess. So value-wise, I think 6 of these cans must have been $70 or more when I bought them. I got to recheck the price, but I'm just a guesstimate. You'd be much better off to go buy a gallon of industrial paint at like Tractor Supply, and by the time you reduce it, you probably get 1.5 gallons. That would go a lot further than these, but it's not as convenient. I do have a 3M gun that I've never used that you throw the cup away so you don't have to clean it and the nozzle away. So minimal cleanup. I should employ that more, but hey, that's my Rustoleum story, and thank God it was flat black and it kind of matched. Now I got to paint the rest of the driveway apparently. I have 2 engines I'm going to do some work to coming right up. One of them is pretty much just a dress up. Paint the block and new valve covers and pretty it up and see if it runs on the test stand. I picked it up. It's a roller cam, what I call late model small block, but that's early 90s. Not exactly new anymore, but it's a good looking engine. I think there's nothing wrong with it. And we'll do a little investigation as to what's inside it, etc. So just looking for a mild street engine. I think that'll be just fine. And the blower motor, the Bloom 355, I think, small block. I think it's 30 over. I got to tear it apart because the lifters don't fit in the block. My theory is that maybe they shot peened the block and they never honed out the lifter bores. They start in the hole, but they're too tight to run. I tried 4 different brands of lifters that I had here, and none of them work in the block, so it's not the lifter. I got a call the other day from a nice gentleman who had a lot of questions about the Ilmor engine, which is living under all these rags right here. The one that I have assembled, it's 440 cubic inches. I have lots of videos about it. And he has a block. He's a few towns south of me. And was curious. We had a good conversation about it. He called several times, and I finally picked up. And glad I did, because he's a pretty interesting dude. And somebody else with an Ilmor engine locally will be interesting. So it got me thinking that, back when I acquired this block, I also got a second one, and I bought a set of empty heads and some valves and a few miscellaneous. I got a few intakes and stuff, but it sits as a dummy, a mock-up engine in the Race 55, but I had meant all along to keep shopping for parts. A long story short, I started my acquisition of a lower end with another set of connected rods, or a set of connected rods, K1, 6 1/8. They're marked as LS rods, but they're nothing but a remarked small block Chevy rod because they got a 0.927 pin, which is the same as a small block. Your factory LS stuff is like 944-ish, I think. I'm just going off of memory. So you can't just put a small block rod in an LS with an LS piston. You have to have a piston that's made for the more common in aftermarket pistons, 0.927 pin. So next I'm shopping for pistons, which I found a few options. I'd like to get another set like I found for $300 for the Race 55, but I probably won't get that lucky. And I 2 years ago now bought an Eagle crank for that. The Eagle crank's rated for 1,000, which is probably conservative. My goal is to make around 1,200, so 1,000 to 1,200, that would do it just fine. That engine in 396 form made over 700, so this shouldn't be too difficult to accomplish. But to buy that crank again with a 58 tooth reluctor is $1,000. The same crank with a 24 tooth reluctor is $730. But again, talking to my buddy Charlie about this, it's money better spent to make it match the other engine. So I'm going to try to shop up the 58 tooth crank, maybe save some money. But if it comes down to $100, $150, now seems like a waste, but down the road, when you gotta, I know the crank sensor itself, one looks for 5 volts, one runs on 12 volts, so there's some swapping you have to do. And likely it would, if you had a good tune for 58 tooth, probably mess it up going to the other one. So let's just make a match in that area. I mean, I don't mind the heads and maybe the intake being different, etc., but it has to be different because the dot heads that are Ilmor, on my Ilmor 440 behind me, the O-ring's in the head, and that is a pain because all LS7 intakes, or LS intakes in general, the O-ring's in the intake manifold and the head is flat. So that's backwards, and it's a hassle to work around. And I've been moving all my clutches and flywheels. I got them all over there just out of sight. I got them all lubed up and bagged up, and they're headed out to the storage container. This is an interesting clutch. This is for the 47 Ford truck we built last winter. Still going to work on it again soon here. And I got the 496, which is a skip white performance lower end, one-piece seal, Gen 5. They balance it to use a two-piece seal, believe it or not, 454 flywheel. So it's still unbalanced, but they balance it to the earlier one. Several phone calls and etc. Long story, but I already had the flywheel, and I had this 12-inch center force diaphragm, obviously, pressure plate, and I had the matching 12-inch clutch disc, but I have a 18 spline Mopar input shaft for my Lenko, so I bought an 18 spline clutch disc. So this is all ready to go. It's an oddball, but it actually fits what's going to be the 47 Ford powertrain. So, thanks for watching. A lot of rambling, but that's okay. Speaking of rambling, I got to throw this in at the end. I like to watch YouTube channels. That's my entertainment. I like to watch people that I learn things from and give them a shout out whenever possible. I'm just a tiny channel, but if I can help out other YouTube channels, I will, especially if I like watching your stuff. And it is the 4L80E guy. 4L80E guy. He's out in Uh, the northwest part of the country. Where is he at? Oregon, I believe. He has a small shop. He's in a shop by himself most of the time. Seems kind of familiar. And every time I watch his ramblings, which is what he calls them, he goes on. His videos are pretty short, 10 or 15 minutes. And he'll highlight work he's doing, which is usually Turbo 400s or 4L80Es. He's gone so far now that he's fixing torque converters. And now he bought a torque converter welder. And his shop, I believe, is my size or smaller. And every time I watch it, I still, if you can't stop learning, and I don't do a whole lot of 4L80Es, but they share a lot of Turbo 400 stuff. But every time I watch his stuff, I learn something. So, and he's kind of funny. He rambles on, got lots of projects. Not too far from what I'm used to looking at. And he sells parts as well. I've actually first noticed him when I bought a 4L80E two-wheel drive output shaft and extension housing. Turns out it's from him. He was on top of it, sent me all the information about it, and then I figured out who he was, started watching his channel. So check him out, 4L80E guy on YouTube, if you like that sort of thing. So have a nice night, and take her easy.